Hey everyone, tonight we are making German food at our house. I am German, my dad's from a little town called Leimersheim in Germany. So we are going to be making a few different things. I'm getting it started early in the day. A lot of the prep can be done early. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the sauerkraut and with cucumber salad. I will also be making chicken schnitzel as well as some spätzle with brown butter. And spätzle is like a little egg dumpling, little egg noodle. That is very popular. Most people know about that. So to get started, I am going to get started on my cucumbers because we have to salt them and let them sit for a little bit. So basically what you are going to do is cut your ends off your cucumbers. And then I do partially peel them. You can peel them all the way if you'd rather. I just partially peel them like this. And they actually look nice when you go and slice them up. And then at this point, if you have a mandolin, I would tell you go ahead and pull that out and use that, which is what I'm going to use. If you don't have one, they can be sliced as well. It's just you want to slice them very thin. So if you're going to slice them by hand, the idea is to get them kind of as thin as you can. Because this isn't, you just don't want large chunks, so you want to do them thin. Again, if you have a mandolin, that's an easier, faster way. Okay, so when you have them all sliced, they're all nice sliced thin. As you can tell, I have another bowl underneath that's going to catch some of the moisture that's going to come out of them. Because we're actually going to salt them and toss them around. And what that salt's going to do is when it's sitting there, it'll pull some of the moisture out of the cucumbers, and it'll pull a little bit of the bitterness out of them as well. So we are going to give a nice good sprinkle underneath as well. We are going to rinse them so that it'll get a lot of the salt off. So toss them around. All right. So at this point, we're just going to put them to the side and let them sit. And then we are going to quickly saute up some red onion that'll go in the cucumber salad. So back in my pan here, I have about a tablespoon of butter in there. I'll turn the heat on under that. Just turn the heat on low. So I'm going to use, for this amount of cucumbers, I'm going to use about a half of a red onion. Should be plenty. Peel all the outer skin off. Okay. I still have it connected on the root end there. I'm going to take my knife. There we go. Horizontally go through your onion, and then we're going to cut our slits down there. Again, making sure to not cut all the way through to the end. And then we're just going to chop it up into small little pieces. And we're going to throw this in the pan with that butter and saute it. We're not looking to really brown them. You're just looking to sweat out the onion so it gets a little translucent. Okay. So I will put this in the pan back here. All right, so we have our cucumbers setting with the salt. I do have my red onion back here in the pan, sauteing with some butter. We'll keep an eye on that. And now we'll get started on the sauerkraut. So I do have some bacon here, probably the equivalent of maybe about 2 slices worth, 2 or 3. If you're just doing a small can of sauerkraut, 1 to 2 slices is enough. If you're doing the big can, 2 to 3 for sure. I'm doing this jar here. So you're just gonna take your bacon, just do a rough chop. Okay. And then we will go ahead and turn the heat on underneath our saucepan and get the bacon sauteing in there. So I have another pan back here. I'm gonna put the heat on like medium. Back here. And I'm gonna go ahead and take that bacon and drop it down into that pan. And with the bacon, you're not looking to get it real crispy or anything like that, but you are looking to kind of get it cooked through. If it starts browning a little bit, that's perfect. So what I like to do then is take my sauerkraut and I will put it into a little strainer over the sink. I like to rinse it to rinse some of that real sourness out of it, and then squeeze it out before I throw it in the pan with the bacon. So I'm gonna take it over to the sink and we'll get it all squeezed out. All right, so I put it in here. Obviously, whatever you put it in, make sure the holes aren't too big on it or it'll just come right through. If you don't have anything like this to put it in, you can kind of keep it in the jar, put some water in, dump that water back out. Just use your hand to kind of keep the sauerkraut from falling out. But again, this just rinses away some of the crazy sourness of it. And then once I do that, I'm gonna give it a good squeeze, get some of that water out of it. Okay. All right. I just use my fist against my other hand and just squeeze some of that out. Okay. We're just gonna set that here. We'll let it drain while that bacon is cooking. I don't want to put it in too soon. And see what's happening over here. So we've got our onions slowly sauteing here. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. Okay, and then let me give this bacon a stir. This for now. Different one. We got our bacon in here sizzling away. You're probably gonna let this bacon cook for a good 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes before you throw in the sauerkraut with it. Okay, so as you can see, our onion is getting pale in color, getting a little bit translucent. That's all you needed to do, is just for them to get a little bit soft. So we're gonna turn the heat off under those, push those back, let them kind of cool off in that pan. And we'll go back over here to our bacon. Sizzling up pretty good. I'm gonna give this just maybe another minute or two. And then I'm going to throw in that sauerkraut. Okay, so the bacon is done enough for now. Some of the edges are getting a little bit brown. That's some hot. So at this point, I'm going to throw our sauerkraut in. All right. Smelling good in here. We'll give it a stir. Keep that heat up kind of high for now. We are going to sprinkle in some salt. That all mixed in. And then I'm going to put in some brown sugar. I would say I have in here about maybe a 1/4 cup worth. We're going to put that in. Make sure we have it mixed in really well. And then we're going to turn the heat on low, throw that lid on, and kind of just let it sit here and simmer for a little while. And then later on, I'll go to check it. We'll see, maybe it needs a little bit more sugar. You kind of want that sweet, yet kind of vinegary, sourness to it. Okay, that's our sauerkraut. So yeah, turn that heat on low, throw that lid on, and let it simmer. And then at this point, we'll take ourselves back over to our cucumber salad, get those cucumbers rinsed and squeezed out, and get that made. Okay, at this point, we're gonna get those cucumbers done. So, cold water. We're gonna give them a little rinse, get some of that salt off. Okay, and then at this point, you're gonna take them, small handfuls like this. You're gonna squeeze them out, put them in your bowl. All right, give them a nice good squeeze, get a lot of that moisture out so you don't have a watery cucumber salad. All right, we have all of our cucumbers squeezed out. So, they're not looking too pretty right now, but we'll get them reconstituted again. So the base of this is gonna be sour cream. So we're just gonna throw a nice big spoonful into there. I don't know, maybe a 1/2 cup. Sorry guys, I don't measure. I just kind of add it and add more as needed. So roughly half cup-ish. Maybe we'll do a little bit more. Do some sour cream in there. We're gonna do a good squeeze of yellow mustard. So, I don't know, about a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more than a teaspoon. We're gonna throw in some apple cider vinegar. Are you laughing at me?
Another
We're
dog.
throwing some apple cider vinegar into this. This is one of those things you can always add more, but you can't take it away. So maybe start with about a tablespoon's worth. I mean, you want it to be vinegary, but not overly done. So start with about a tablespoon. Nice pinch of salt into that. And then at this point, you're gonna use one of two things. Traditionally, we use this. This was the packet I put online to show you. This was something that I used to only be able to get from Germany. My dad would bring some back when he used to go there. Now I have found it at several stores. World Market sells it, although I don't think you can even get in there right now. I believe when you look in the international aisle at Caputo's, they have it. It's written in Polish, but it has a similar look to it. It's just like a dill cucumber seasoning. You can order it online too, if you want. So I'm gonna put the whole packet in there. If you don't have this, a comparable substitute, not the exact same, but it'll do, is the dry ranch seasoning that I had told you about. So I would say maybe start with, I don't know, maybe about a tablespoon of this, as well as like a teaspoon of dry dill. And again, you'll just have to go by the flavor when you mix it up. If you think it needs a little more salt, does it need a little bit more of the seasoning flavor, just whatever it is that you like with it. We're also gonna grab our onions that we cooked. Okay, so we will scrape those down into here. And we're gonna give it a good mix together. And again, this is something I grew up eating, family recipe. It's so good. All right. So mix it up really good, and then I'm gonna give it a taste, see if it needs maybe a little bit more vinegar or salt. Okay. Okay. Nope, it's actually good just the way it is. So at this point, you're just gonna cover it up, throw it in your fridge, give it a good stir later on when you're ready to eat it, and you're good to go. Again, add more stuff if you need to add more. In the meantime, we've still had our sauerkraut back here cooking in the pan. Open up that lid, I'm gonna give it a stir, and at this point, I'd say the sauerkraut is done as well. So we'll turn the heat off and throw that to the back of the stove. And then the next thing we'll start working on is getting our chicken breaded ready to go for later on, and our spätzle with the brown butter. All right, everyone, we are ready to make some spätzle. And with spätzle, I always like to toss them with little brown butter, because why not? I could put brown butter on everything. So in order to get that going, I have about 4 tablespoons of butter back in this pan over medium-low heat. We're gonna let it melt down. It's gonna start bubbling. We gotta keep an eye on it because it's gonna slowly start turning brown. It takes on a real nutty flavor, but you don't want it to burn. So once it starts turning brown, we'll keep that eye on it. When it gets to the right color, turn that heat off and it's good to go. I do have some salted water going in a larger pot. This is gonna be to cook the spätzle in. You will need some sort of a colander strainer. Again, another, the little bowl underneath to catch the liquid, and a slotted spoon to scoop them out and let them sit here while you're cooking more. And then you will need something with holes in it in order to make your spätzle. If you are lucky enough to have a spätzle maker, use that. I don't have one. I don't know why, but I don't have one. So I actually always use, I know it looks horrible, this is one of our grill pans. It is clean, but we've used this for many years. So I clean it really good, and I use this. It has a good size hole in it that I can scrape that batter through into the boiling water. If you have a colander that has a decent size hole in it, you can use that. Like even this would work, the sides here. You just scrape the batter along there. If you have even something like a cheese grater with the larger holes, that size is good too. You just need something like that that you force that batter through into that boiling water. So our butter is melting back here. Again, we're just gonna keep an eye on it. So I have all my equipment ready to go, my water's ready to go, and we're gonna go ahead and make that spätzle batter.